The St. Louis Cardinals wrap up their ugly road trip with a win in Milwaukee to snap their losing streak. And guess who pitched good again? Now, they wouldn't think about re-signing him, would they? Would they?
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving you all the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. All right, coming up on today's show, we'll discuss the team's chances of playing spoiler to their division rival, Cincinnati Reds, whom they start a series with tonight at Busch Stadium. We're going to jump into the minor leagues and talk about Liam Doyle, who pitched on Saturday for AA Springfield, another positive step in his development for the St. Louis Cardinals. But today, I want to start with what we saw in Milwaukee this weekend. And as usual, it was a roller coaster of good and bad and confusing, which is what we've come to expect from this team at this point of the season. That isn't really a terrible team by any means, but they're not a very good team either. They're just there, and it's part of the growing pains. You know, you would see a team, if they didn't make the mistakes the Cardinals make, they would have more W's and they'd be a better team overall, obviously. But again, these are the growing pains of a young team learning at the big league level. That's what a lot of this is right now here in the middle part of September. Friday, you get clobbered early because Andre Pallante is just not very good at baseball. He's just not. Just a mess of what I called the bad news Cardinals in that third inning where the Brewers scored 4 runs and hardly got the ball out of the infield. First 2 innings from Pallante were fine, but in the third, he walks the first 2 batters, then gives up a bunt single that loads the bases, another walk, forces in the first run, and then Jackson Chourio hits a sac fly to right. Jordan Walker then throws the ball to home plate. Not his fault, but it bounces off the helmet of Caleb Durbin to let another run score. Then the final run of the inning scored on a fielder's choice grounder when Sal Frelick beats Wilson Contreras' throw to home plate. You know, it's just like, what the hell am I watching? A disgusting inning all around, and it just set the tone for what ended up being an 8-2 loss. Pallante's now 6-14. Frankly, I'm sick of talking about him. I'm sure you're sick of hearing about him because it's just the same stuff over and over and over and over, just regurgitated. The team's 2-12 in his last 14 starts. Got an ERA of 6.32 in that time span. No team that is serious about winning baseball games is still putting someone out there like this on the mound every 5th day. But the Cardinals do it because they don't really have any other options, to be honest with you. Saturday, you get a solid start from Sonny Gray, who goes 5 innings, 8 Ks, just 2 earned runs. But then the one part of your team that has been so good all season has a New York Mets worthy collapse and face plants over the 8th, 9th, and 10th innings to give a game away. Just gave it to them. The combo of JoJo Romero, Riley O'Brien, and Cal Leahy suffer an identity crisis. And in 2 1/3 innings, they allow a combined 7 runs on 6 hits. JoJo walks 3 people. O'Brien hits the first 2 people he sees. Like, I'm watching this game, and I'm like, you have got to be pooping me that this is what they're doing right now. Just peeing down their legs and blowing this lead like this. It was embarrassing. Just a disaster. And it's hard to pile on these guys because they've been so good. That considering how successful they've actually been so far this year, it's hard to pile on them. But holy crap, was that a just vomit-inducing final couple of innings? Like, honestly, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like I'm ready to just punch my television to disintegrate like that, the way they did, and just do it to themselves, you know, with the walks and the hit batters. Like, if the Milwaukee Brewers had come out and then just base it, and they beat you that way, you're like, that sucks. But at least you made them beat you. You beat yourself Saturday. Awful. Then on Sunday, Miles Mikolas was on the mound. So we're all thinking the same thing. Don't be ashamed. But you're thinking, yeah, Cardinals are going to get swept. in back-to-back series. We're going to go 0-6 on this trip. Super duper, right? But as Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend, because Miles Mikolas, I know he loves the 2 solo home runs because that's what he does. That's just who Miles Mikolas is. But Miles Mikolas pitches really well, is able to steady the ship a little bit. I know we got a good start from Sonny Gray, but things could have really gotten bad early on in that game, and it would just been like, the momentum from Saturday's comeback victory by Milwaukee. And instead, he was good. Steadies the ship, 5 solid innings. The bullpen steps up after the debacle on Saturday to combine for 4 shutout innings. You got King, Alcala, JoJo, and O'Brien. They got to redeem themselves and came through. The offense got all their runs in that second inning. And, it could have been more, should have been more, but had another bad news Cardinals moment. Newt draws that walk, and Jose Fermin falls for a pump fake throw. Like, what the hell was that? Maybe he didn't realize it was ball 4. I didn't see any quotes that talked to him about what he was doing. But he wasn't going anywhere. I don't know what the hell he's doing, and ends up getting caught in a rundown for the second out of the inning. It's just stupid baseball, just stupid, dumb baseball. And that's what teams under 500 do. That's what young teams do. It's maddening. But again, I've lost most of my ability to lose too much energy on these guys screwing up at this point. Like, I'm just not, as frustrating as Saturday was because of the way they ended up giving that game away. That's where I was getting angry. But I didn't get angry on Sunday. I was just like, all right, whatever. Just got to move on and do better next time. Just got to do it. And let's be honest, NFL football's on too. So if the Cardinals piss you off, you just just scooch it over there to a different game. But they held on. They held on to survive. And Mikolas picked up the win. He goes to 8-10 on the season. Back on August 22nd, Miles got clobbered by the Rays in Tampa Bay, if you remember. But since that point, 4 solid starts for this team. He's averaged 5 1/3 innings in these starts, these last 4. 5 1/3 innings, run and a half, 4.5 hits, got an ERA of 2.57. Most importantly, the team is 3-1 in those starts. They're actually winning the ball games that Miles Mikolas is starting, and that's good. And I share the same sentiment as most fans. Like, and I got some tweets about this. Like, they're not going to re-sign this guy, are they? Like, they're not going to bring him back again, are they? And I say this, if Mo was still in charge, it wouldn't shock me if they did. That would be such a John Mozeliak move. Be like, well, look at the final 4 or 5 starts, I mean, we need guys who can eat innings and just got to have a little patience. We know that there's a need for pitching in this organization, starting pitching specifically. Next year, just looking at what you got available right now, Sonny Gray is set to be back. Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, and I'm guessing they're going to give Andre Palante another chance to win a rotation job just because he's young and he's cheap. Quinn Matthews should be up for a rotation spot, in my opinion, as well. They don't have much else in the cupboard. Like, there's not much else to choose from because of the injuries that they suffered in the minor leagues this year. So Chaim Bloom is going to have to do something. Got to do something. Is Kyle Leahy going to get pushed up into the rotation? They're going to stretch him out. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's where they go with this. They've been able to build bullpens pretty well so far. And if you go and look at the veterans that are going to be available for free agency that maybe you kick the tires on, but none of them are sexy names. A lot of older guys, a lot of guys like Miles Mikolas, a lot of older dudes that, yeah, I don't want to pay these guys to be a sub 500 pitcher. Like, I'd rather figure something else out with somebody young. Perhaps Chaim Bloom makes a trade for someone using some of the prospect assets that they have on the infield or a catcher or whatever. Maybe they can pull something off. But if Chaim falls into the Mikolas, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, Eric Fetty trap that John Mozeliak did the last couple of years, then I'm going to be supremely disappointed. I'm going to be supremely disappointed. I think everybody else is going to be too. Please don't do that. Please don't go down that road again. Just let's move on and figure something else out. Another guy that could get a crack at a spot at some point next year is this year's first-round draft pick, Liam Doyle, who made another promising start on Saturday for Springfield. We'll discuss it next on Locked On Cardinals. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, I love using FanDuel. It's been my go-to for quite a long time now. It fits however you like to bet. So whatever I'm in the mood for, player props, same-game parlays, jumping into the live action as it unfolds, all of these ways, FanDuel has it for you, and it's whatever you're up for. You know, every game becomes more exciting, whether I'm watching my Green Bay Packers, who people are talking about might be the best team in the NFL right now, or I'm keeping an eye on my fantasy lineup, and, that's something that's going to be happening tonight. Two Monday night games to choose from. Bucks at Texans, Chargers at Raiders. Obviously, a lot of great players to choose from. Quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud. Looking to bounce back. Justin Herbert was really good in week one. Rookie running back Ashton Genty for the Raiders, somebody you want to keep an eye on as well. FanDuel's quick, easy, best way to add a little more energy to your games on Sunday, Thursday, Monday, obviously. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode also brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. Cha-ching! With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes and do it all in less than 60 seconds. Now, tonight, I saw that Justin Herbert and Baker Mayfield had 1.5 passing TDs, under over. I'm going with the over on both of them. So I put my Prize picks in for Herbert and Mayfield to each have over 1.5 touchdowns. But you can choose whatever you like. Wide receivers, running backs, kickers. You think someone else is going to go off, get them in your lineup and go. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals first listen every day. If you enjoy daily Cardinals content, you can follow the podcast on X at @LO_Cardinals. We're also available on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Now, Liam Doyle was taken 5th overall in this year's draft out of Tennessee. And it honestly wouldn't have shocked me if we hadn't seen him throwing in real games at all this season for the Cardinals organization. You know, limiting his innings after throwing, he was, close to 100 innings in college this year. I don't know if we consider that a bad thing. You know how arms, you got to take care of them. You got to keep them safe. Got to be gentle with them. It's not like the good old days where you just go out and throw 140 pitches, no big deal, and you come back in 5 days and throw another complete. It doesn't work that way anymore. That's just the way things are. But it wouldn't have surprised me if they had shut him down and just said, hey, let's get you fresh, get you back, ready to rock and roll for next spring. But as John Denton from MLB.com reported, that's not something that Doyle actually wanted to do. He got a quote from Liam Doyle, who said that after the college season, I was shut down for about 2 weeks of no throwing, and then I was building up before the draft. Once I got to Jupiter, I sat down with pitching director Matt Pierpont to figure out what the plan was going to be. I pitched almost 100 innings in college, so a little rest never hurt. I built up and felt strong, and they watched my pins and could tell I was ready. Now, after appearing for Palm Beach the previous week, where he was hitting 98 on the gun, was consistently a tick over 96, struck out 3 of the 7 batters he faced. He gave up the 1 home run on that hanging breaking ball. The Cardinals decided, let's keep him going. So they promoted him to Double-A Springfield because the Palm Beach season coming to an end. Double-A Springfield, they're, moving on. They want to win a championship this year. They've been very, very good this season. So shipped them to Double-A Springfield to continue his work. On Saturday, He made his second professional start for the Cardinals organization, pitching against San Antonio, and things went pretty well. He tossed 2 shutout innings, allowed 2 hits, but struck out 3. Springfield went on to win that game 7-4. They got, I think it was like 6 runs in the first 2 innings behind Doyle. So that was nice. According to Thomas Govain at RedBirdRanch.com, he needed only 10 pitches in the first inning, gave up 2 hits in the second, but was able to get out of that jam. Throws 30 pitches total on the night, 20 of which were strikes. 2 of his strikeouts came on swings and misses. Says Doyle will likely get one more start for Springfield before their season is up. And after ramping up slightly on Saturday, he says that we can assume that Doyle could have a higher pitch count in his next outing. So continuing to build. Another aspect of this, which I think is great for the development of somebody like Liam Doyle, who's coming straight from college and being thrown into things, is that he got a chance to be around real big leaguers. Brendan Donovan and Nolan Arenado were at Springfield while he was there. And Doyle told Denton that watching Nolan walk in at noon when the clubhouse wasn't open until 2:30 was pretty cool. Watching Arenado and Donovan go about their business and seeing everything that makes them great has been great. I'm trying to learn from them and be the best version of myself. So you love the fact that, you hate that those guys were hurt and that they were down in Springfield to, rehab and get better to get back to the Cardinals. But at the same time, you got to put them around somebody who you've got a lot of stock in to be one of your big time pitchers moving forward. So you love to hear that and see that from a guy who the Cardinals are hoping will impact this roster sooner rather than later. Thomas brought this up in his write-up that, and I agree with him here that, don't have any delusions that Liam Doyle is going to be up with the club at the start of next season. Okay. Like, no matter how good the rest of this goes this season and how good he looks in the spring, they're not going to rush him up there and just throw him to the wolves. He's probably going to start at Double-A. That's probably where it makes sense for him to begin and just kind of see how things go from there. There's no rush because you're not expecting the Cardinals next season to, right out of the gate be competing for a division title or anything like that. So it's not like you have to have this guy up and going. Hopefully they have found ways to fill out that rotation that won't necessitate Liam Doyle being there right away. But some pitchers rise quicker than others. Quinn Matthews flew up through the minor league system last year. Remember, you're seeing young pitchers promoted quickly all the time these days. The Blue Jays tonight on Monday night, they're going to be starting their top pitching prospect, Salvage. After taking him 20th overall in 2024, he's pitched at all 4 levels this season. Like, started at A-ball. It's made his way all the way up to the major leagues. Will make his debut tonight. So even though Doyle will likely start at Double-A, which is great because, you've already kind of established that you're better than A-ball. We don't need you to be there. Let's get you to Double-A, and we'll see how quickly, maybe he starts at Memphis. Who knows? But it doesn't mean that you won't see him with the Cardinals at some point next season. Okay. It's just likely not going to happen early on in the year. All right. So great to hear that his career is off to a good start. Great to hear what he said about Donovan and Arenado being in the clubhouse and being around those guys. So I also read that he has spoken with like Max Scherzer through a connection in Tennessee. That was in Denton's article too. So it's great that he's soaking this stuff in, and he seems like a kid who's very eager to learn and do whatever it takes to be the best he can be and get to St. Louis as quick as possible. So looking forward to seeing what his next outing is going to be whenever that does happen. The Cardinals are going to get a chance to play spoiler against a division foe tonight. Cincinnati Reds coming to Busch Stadium. They still have thoughts of going to the postseason. Be nice to squash those hopes and dreams, wouldn't it? So we're going to preview that series coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Today's episode brought to you by Nutrafol. Now, you've probably seen, 1 million ads, at least, for hair growth products for guys and thought, sure, like that actually works. There's a lot of products out there. They're there, and it's hard to know which ones are going to do anything for you, and that's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Why, you ask? Well, first off, Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people, and it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root that causes the thinning and the shedding with a proactive approach. Now, in my life, I've learned that confidence is key in everything you do. So whether you're at work, you're out with friends, just getting ready in the morning, you want confidence as your day begins. And Nutrafol is going to give you more confidence in your daily routine. It's simple to add, 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed. Easy. And you can feel good about it, knowing that Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code, one word, Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On MLB Game Night. It's every game, every night until the World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis, but on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, even though the Cardinals are 4 games under 500, which it doesn't even feel like they should be that close. Like, it feels like they're 10 games under 500, especially after that 1-5 road trip. They are still just 4 games back in the NL wild card. And you're like, wait, how? How are they even in contention still? It's certainly not because the Cardinals have played very well. It's because everyone ahead of them has played poorly. They've played just as poor as the Cardinals, really. The Mets have collapsed, losing 8 of their last 10. The Giants lost 2 of 3 to the Cardinals and are now 5-5 in their last 10 after kind of surging back into things. They're a game and a half back of the Mets. The Diamondbacks are the sneaky team that nobody has been talking about. And all of a sudden, they've won 2 in a row. They're 6-4 in their last 10, but they're only 2 games out of the wild card. That's bonkers to me. And then you got the Reds, who just got swept by the A's in Sacramento. They're 2.5 back. It really sucks that the Cardinals couldn't win at least 2 more games on that road trip. 1 in Seattle would have been nice, although they played them close. Seattle's just a really good team, so I'm not really going to get on them about losing that series and losing all 3 games because they were in all of them. But, blowing Saturday's game, that's bad news. So they should have won 2 of 3 against Milwaukee. There's no excuse for what we saw on Saturday. That was horrendous. But it's Brian from Locked On Yankees. We were doing MLB Game Night last night on Sunday, and he goes, you guys realize you're just one really good week from being on the doorstep of the wild card spot. I'm like, I know, but you and I, as everydayers watching this team, we know that after seeing as many games as we've seen, we do not expect them to do that. I'd love to be wrong. I'm not actively rooting against the Cardinals by any means. If they snuck into the wild card, I'd pop champagne. I'd be so happy for them. But let's be honest with each other. You really see this team doing that? Do you? They just haven't shown me the consistency at all to do something like that since May. Okay? But they can make things more difficult for the Reds. If they're looking for motivation, there you go. Make it more difficult for a division foe who did the exact opposite of the Cardinals at the trade deadline. Cardinals were like, yeah, we are who we are. We're gonna ship some of these guys out and get some assets. The Reds were buying at the deadline. They went and acquired Ke'Bryan Hayes from the Pittsburgh Pirates and took on his contract. They got Miguel Andujar from the A's. Tonight starter Zach Littell from the Rays. The results have not worked. Despite having Terry Francona in that dugout, it has not worked. They are 12-18 in their last 30, just like the Cardinals, who sold at the deadline. Who was the smarter person here? I honestly thought the Reds would be better than what they are. It has been a bit surprising that they haven't been able to accomplish more in this season. So ruining their hopes and dreams, as I mentioned, should give the guys a little something to strive for as they try to end this season on a good note. So I hope they show up for tonight's game and the series with that type of intensity. You got Brendan Donovan back over the weekend. That's great. You love seeing him there. Nolan Arenado set to rejoin the team tonight. That's a positive. You don't have Mason Wynn. that stings, but it was the smart play, in my opinion. And almost anybody else I've talked to is like, yeah, I'm glad that they just pulled the plug and said, just take the rest of the year off, bro. Let's get you healthy. It's more important. It's more important. And if they make it in without him, wow, that would be something. Thomas and JC has been hitting quite well. 429 over his last 5 games, hottest hitter in the lineup. Not going to give you the defense that Mason Wynn did, but the Birds need offense in a major way. Other than JC, you got guys like Gorman, 2 for his last 21. Burley, 4 for his last 22, coming back from the injured list. Lars Nootbaar, 5 for his last 22. Outside of JC and Ivan Herrera, it's been really, really rough. And again, you've been facing some pretty good teams here in Seattle and Milwaukee, 2 of the best records in all of baseball. So keep that in mind, but you can still be disappointed in the results that you've been getting from some of these hitters right now. You know, the Nolan Gorman stuff, where 2 for 21, no home runs, has struck out 10 times in those at bats. Like, he's back down here again, where things aren't going very well. Jordan Walker, they're not even hardly playing anymore because he can't hit anymore. Victor Scott, Nathan Church. I mean, you're talking about guys that they're not offensively gifted players. So you got to rely on some of these big guys. So getting Donnie and getting Nato back in the lineup, hopefully that will help. Wilson Contreras, hopefully, he starts to warm up again. But it's been JC and Ivan Herrera have been the big catalysts in this lineup the last week. So hopefully they stay hot. Going to need it. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound tonight. Roughed up in Seattle. His last time out, just faced the Reds at the end of August. And wasn't great. Wasn't horrible. 3 runs in 5 innings. You hope for something better than that. But the Cardinals did win that game, which is the most important thing. They beat the Reds 7-5 in 10 innings in that game that Libby started. So final homestand of the season. You got Reds for 3, and then the Milwaukee Brewers are coming into town for 3 more. Let's ruin some lives. Let's take them out, man. Let's beat these guys. All right. Let's take 2 or 3 at least from Cincinnati, and let's make Milwaukee earn it and not just give them games away. So looking forward to watching it tonight. Reds, Cardinals, Liberatore, and Zach Littell from Busch Stadium will be on the social medias tonight. So if you're going to be around, hop online and you can chit chat about the game along with me as, I give my thoughts out and stuff. So thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow if you haven't already on X and at LO_Cardinals. You can find me at JD Sports Radio as well. TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe, and on the YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. Continue to help our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.